A very good morning to you all. In the last video lecture, we have discussed about the human population growth. Okay, so this is in continuation with the last video lecture. Certain initiatives taken by the government of India to control human population growth are as follows. First and foremost is the launching of National Family Welfare Program in 1951. Okay, with the objective of reducing the birth rate to the extent necessary to stabilize the population at a certain level and requirement of the national economy. Then the setting up of the Department of Women and Child Development in the year 1985, okay, and as a part of the Ministry of Human Resource Development to give the much needed impetus to the holistic development of women and children. Okay, so this department basically formulates the plans, policies and programs. Okay, annexed or amendments legislation, guides and coordinates the effort both governmental and non-governmental organizations working in the field of women and child development. Okay. Next is your resettlement and rehabilitation project affected persons case studies. So resettlement and rehabilitation means resettlement is the process of moving people to a different area or different place to live as they can no longer live in their original place due to the certain natural factors or due to the human interventions like construction of dams, national highways, mining operations, etc. Okay. Rehabilitation, on the other hand, is the action of restoring something that is been damaged to its former condition. Who are the project affected persons? Mostly they are the people who are directly affected by the land acquisitions. Okay, for a community project, either to the loss of part or all of their assets. Now, what is the term land acquisition? It is the power of the union or state government in India to acquire private land for the purpose of the community-based projects. Okay, and to compensate the affected landowners for the rehabilitation and resettlement. So, the various acts and policies related to land acquisition are as follows. Land Acquisition Act 1894, that is of the colonial periods, and it has many drawbacks. Then came the Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition. Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act of 2013, which was further amended in 2014, and then there was a policy on rehabilitation and resettlement in 2007. Let us quickly go through the important features of this act. First and foremost is the Land Acquisition Act 1894. Okay, this till 2014 this was governed by the colonial periods. India was governed by the colonial periods. Land Acquisition Act of 1894. Okay, it allowed the government to acquire private lands, but the displaced people were only provided monetary compensations linked with the current market value of the land in question. Okay, that means they provided, the displaced persons are only provided the monetary compensation based on the current market value of the land. The important drawbacks of Land Acquisition Act 1894 are as follows. There was no real appeal mechanism, okay, for the to stop the process of acquisition. There was absolutely no provision in 1894 law relating to that of the resettlement and rehabilitation. Okay, and there was the most criticized section of this law was the urgency clause, under which the acquiring authority never disclosed what constituted an urgent need, okay, for acquisition. So then came your the Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013. Okay, overcoming the drawbacks of the earlier act. That is, first and foremost, it replaced the Land Acquisition Act of 1894. Under this act, the acquisition involves a social impact assessment survey, then preliminary notification stating the intent of acquisition, declaration of acquisition, and compensation to be given by a certain time. Okay, all the acquisition requires rehabilitation and resettlement to be provided to the people affected by the acquisition. That means, in the earlier act, in the previous act, there was no provision for resettlement and rehabilitation, but this particular act kept in focus the certain issues. Okay. That is, first they need to do a social impact assessment survey, okay, under which they find out the pros and cons of that the projects. Okay, that means how it will affect the social individuals living in that particular area. Then primarily they notify the local inhabitants stating their intent for acquisition, then a declaration of the acquisition and compensation to be given at a particular amount of time. Compensation for the owners of the acquired land shall be 4 times the market value. This is a very important feature. Okay, that is in the earlier Land Acquisition Act of 1894, there was the compensation was based on the current market value, but here you can see there is it is 4 times the market value in case of the rural areas, okay, and twice in case of the urban areas for the land. Now, certain additional features of this new act are as follows. Okay, you can pause the video and go through it. Then is your amendment act in 2014. Okay, you can pause the video and you can go through it. So certain important features of this amendment act are as follows. That is, first and foremost, it needs to, the social impact assessment needs to be done, okay, to identify affected families and can calculate the social impact when the land is acquired. Then it imposes certain restrictions on the acquisition of irrigated land or multi-crop land. That means the government or any individuals cannot buy the irrigated or the multi-crop land. Okay, that means with the intent of project development. Okay, and if a particular acquired land remains unutilized for a period of 5 years, then it is to be returned back to the original owner or the land bank. Okay, it excluded the acquisition of land for private hospitals and private educational institutes from its purview. Okay, then the National Policy on Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act, 2007. This particular policy aims in striking a balance between the need for the land for developmental purposes, okay, and at the same time protects the interest of the landowners. Okay, it recommends that only a minimum necessary area of the land should be taken for the purpose of the developmental activities. Okay, however, the multi-crop land should be avoided. Okay, and the irrigated land use should be kept to the minimum for such purposes. Then they also advise the developmental projects to be set up on the wasteland or unirrigated lands. Okay. The objectives of the National Rehabilitation and Resettlement Policy of 2007 are as follows. First is to minimize the displacement, okay, because this has a number of issues as we have studied in the previous video lectures. So here you can see that the adequate rehabilitation package, okay, it ensures the adequate rehabilitation package and expedites implementation of the rehabilitation process with the active participation of the affected families. It ensures special care for the protecting the rights of the weaker sections of the society. It provides a better standard of living. It integrates rehabilitation concerns into the development planning and implementation process. It facilitates harmonious relationship. So the key features of the policy are as follows. You can pause the video and go through it. Now, what are the benefits offered under the policy of the to the affected families? First is they provide land for land. Okay, they give preference for employment. Okay, that means at least one person from each nuclear family within the definition of the affected family, okay, subject to availability of the vacancies and stability of the affected person, is provided employment in the project work. Training and capacity building so that they can take up suitable jobs, okay, or for self-employment. Then scholarship is provided for the education of the eligible persons from the affected families. Then preference to the groups in terms of the allotment of contracts and other economic opportunities in or around the project site. Then wage employment to the willing affected person in the construction work in project, and certain housing benefits including houses to the landless affected families both in rural and urban areas, and other benefits. So what are the resettlement issues? First and foremost, there is a lack or minimal support from the government of India or from the local inhabitants where they have been resettled, okay, who are staying from the earlier time, and delayed compensation. Yeah, government of India, they stated that the resettled individuals will be provided compensation. However, the time for completing such task takes time. Okay, then loss of livelihood, that is the source of earning, also gets lost because the people are mostly settled in the fertile areas where they can cultivate the crops. Okay, however, or they can obtain certain products from the nearby forest area. However, due to the developmental activities, they are recompensated. They are resettled to a different location which might not be fertile, okay, or which might not give benefits to the extent which the earlier was giving. Then lack of facilities, obviously the basic facilities such as water, electricity, education, health, medicine, etc. So these are not fulfilled to the full extent. Okay, if in the rehabilitated areas, so resettled areas, sorry. So this is also an issue. Then stress issue, psychological stress. Okay, then the social stress, health issues, financial issues. Obviously they financial issues are there, social issues is there, environmental connectivity is hampered. Okay, so these are certain issues of the resettlement people. What are the reasons? Mainly there are two reasons. First is the development project focus more on the economic efficiency, and those in charge pay little attention to the process of resettlement and rehabilitation of the affected people. And one more point is that the people who are dealing with the providing of that of the compensation amount, like or they they don't truly do their work. They don't honestly do their work, and in the meanwhile they utilize some of the money of the rehabilitated individuals, sorry, resettled individuals. Okay, and then the people, resettled people, most of the time they come in debt. Okay, and then they take money from the money lenders, and then they are being thugged. Okay, now what are the possible solutions? First and foremost, for any sort of development projects, there should be an analysis of the pros and cons of the projects. Okay, then consultation with the local inhabitants is very much important. Compensation both in words and deeds. That means it should be not only by the pen and paper only. Basic facilities should be provided. Employment opportunities should be provided. Benefits from the project should be shared, okay, to a certain extent. And decision making, in the process of decision making and or policy making, the village elders should be taken in consideration. Then the options of shifting should be clearly planned or should be clearly thought. Okay, keeping in mind the ill effects of the settled resettlement. Okay. Certain case studies of the project affected persons are as follows, some of which are not successful to that extent, some of which are successful. Okay. A study of the provisions in the case of Bakra, it was decided that both land and cash compensation will be granted to the ousted. Okay. But after a lapse of years, the rehabilitation process is still ongoing process and people are still to be rehabilitated. Okay. Out of the total 7209 affected families, 2398 settled in Himachal climbing up on the hills, 2632 preferred cash compensation and settled on their own land, and only 2179 families preferred resettlement in the irrigation command area in the Hisar. Okay. The scheme was considered to be good with additional facilities like free fishing license in the reservoir for 3 years and employment during the construction of the project. But after a lapse of years, the rehabilitation process is still an ongoing process and people are still to be rehabilitated. The faith put in by the ousted in the government slowly started eroding as the years went by, and the ousted started realizing that it was not the inexperience that was responsible for the bad resettlement, but the insensitiveness on the part of the executing agencies. Okay, you can just give a reading to it. Amongst the major projects that were started in 1990s, the coal dam scheme addressed concerns of the displaced people more satisfactorily. Prior to this, the issue of the displaced person was not addressed properly, but the coal dam scheme addressed concerns of displaced people more satisfactorily. The state government for the first time sincerely tried to address more than general issues of only cash compensation and land grants. It drew a comprehensiveness plan with the promoters of coal dam. Okay, a scheme called Resettlement and Rehabilitation of the Ousted of Coal Dam Hydroelectric Project was formulated to address the issues of the ousted in the 4 districts of Mandi, Bilaspur, Solan and Shimla. Okay. The scheme focused on an all-round socio-economic development of the community. Okay, these are certain other points associated with it. Please give it a reading. Then let us talk about the successful settlement. Okay, the Natpa resettlement can be called a successful resettlement with most of the ousted being satisfied with all kind of compensation. Since very few families, the reason for such satisfaction is that there were only limited number of families. Okay, since very few families were displaced, it was easier to resettle them, isn't it, in the vicinity of their earlier holdings. In fact, a study has found that the income level and standard of living of the project affected people have improved as they immensely benefited from the compensation and rehabilitation. The World Bank mission has also monitored the resettlement and rehabilitation activities carried out in the Nathpa project and has appreciated the efforts. To quote the bank, the success of the resettlement activity undertaken in this project is quite rare for India and can be considered as one of the best example of resettlement implementation in the bank assisted project in India. It should be considered as an example for the other projects as well. So these are the certain case studies. Next we shall be discussing about disaster management, floods, earthquakes, cyclones and landslides in the other videos. So till then, if you have any queries, do let me know.